All right, this video, we're going to go over SSH persistence or persistence technique through SSH. Once again, I am Chris Brown, CTO for OpsTech Alliance, and here we go. All right, SSH or Secure Shell runs by default on port 22. This is a client-server implementation, so we have the server running the daemon or the service, and a client who authenticates or connects to it or consumes the service. It's used for a bunch of stuff: secure remote login, secure connections over otherwise insecure networks, remote control of servers or managing infrastructure, transferring files, tunneling, etc. It's kind of the legacy, or sorry, the replacement to legacy tools and protocols like Telnet, FTP, RSH, and stuff like that. And then in SSH, it uses a public key or asymmetric keys for negotiation, and then a secret key for the session. I'm going to show you a diagram here in the next slide. And again, like not trying to turn this into a cryptography session, and we're just going to hit the I believe button on that part of it. We're going to focus mostly on that fourth step, the authentication, that could be either password based or key based, which is what we're going to take advantage of here. Okay. So how do we know SSH is running in the first place? So on the whole internet, we can just look at Shodan or something similar that does like big internet, full internet scans, and kind of keeps track of all that stuff. As you can see, 25 million endpoints or so have SSH, or what Shodan thinks is SSH, open to the entire world, not filtered. So that's a lot. You can see like some of the top ports there, like 3389 might just be a bad guess. You know, RDP is what we would expect on that port, but maybe they're just running it on a non-default port and trying to fool us. But we get the SSH, banner grab anyway. So that doesn't really help us locally though, right? So we need to see on our local network what exists, and if we're going after a particular service like SSH, then what servers are running that. So we can use a tool like Nmap. Nmap, hang on. Nap is also a good thing, but not applicable here. So Nmap, there's a typical command you would run for finding servers with port 22 open and trying to enumerate or figure out what the OS is. The target IP could be a range, could be your whole subnet, that's fine. And then you could follow that up with some Nmap scripting engine or NSE scripts to further enumerate things or test some known vulnerabilities in services. Lots of stuff there. I'll let you read the documentation to go deep on that. You can use Telnet to test if a port is open, filtered, or closed. You can use like enterprise-grade vulnerability scanners like Tenable, Nessus, or Rapid7, stuff like that. And then locally, like on the machine that you're on, then you can use something like Netstat or PS to figure out what's running and look for SSH daemons or services. All right, specifically, we're going to talk about the authorized keys file, and this is one method of gaining persistence through SSH. And effectively, what the authorized keys file is it's a key component in facilitating that key-based authentication, again, as opposed to password-based. The server has, like when it receives the authentication request from the client, it uses the public keys that are stored in the authorized keys file to verify the signature. One like key element, I guess, or aspect of this is that authorized keys file can, as it sounds plural, can be plural. So many keys can be in there, allowing for each different system or user to have their own unique key pair and still authenticate. Obviously, the client retains their private key. That's kind of a no duh, but figured I'd put it in there just in case. All right, so MITRE attack framework wise, there's a couple of tactics that that may be rearranged. So I put them up here as like in order of the matrix. So initial access, execution, persistence, and privilege escalation. That might not be exactly how it turns out to effectively get to where we're going here, but each situation is different. So these are well defined. It's kind of a standard way of gaining persistence, and attack vectors aside, this is a viable path to gain persistence. With that, however, like we wouldn't be good red teamers or ethical hackers if we couldn't help our own blue team, our team, right? The good guys. So ways to mitigate this would be to limit who can access that authorized keys file, or who can edit or manage that authorized keys file at all, and then limit who can use SSH as a client. Maybe even better is a desired state push for that authorized keys file. So using something like Puppet or Ansible to continuously push that desired state, so that if an attacker were to gain that initial foothold and persistence, it would be short-lived and overwritten with our desired state with our configuration management tool. Now, like the key to that working and them not just continuously doing it and scripting it out and making it, making our efforts, rendered moot, would be the detection. So build detections to detect change to the file or access or anything outside of our desired state. All right, and then my favorite is just turn it off. If it's not on, it can't be compromised, at least without turning it back on. So if you don't need SSH, just turn it off. And then finally, MFA. So this is client side more so, ensuring that that an existing authorized key can't be used without an additional authentication step. So like password protecting your keys locally, so that they can't, if my endpoint were to be compromised, my SSH keys can't be used to gain remote access to servers without the password also. Okay. I really did it. I really flew through the slides. So we're going to get right to it. This is kind of one of the more straightforward videos. So yeah, let's just get to the demo. So again, there's a bunch of different ways you could gain this initial access, through command injection or throwing a remote exploit, directory traversal. I wouldn't expect that to be like a super viable option, but again, like what was it, 24 million endpoints or something like that on the open internet. So yeah, maybe one of them. Privilege escalation, like you could be a user already authorized on a machine, and you're just a malicious user, or you're about to leave and want to leave a back door for after you're fired or something. I don't know. But you could use existing access and gain privilege escalation. And then maybe you don't have direct access to the SSH configuration, but you do have authorization to create scheduled tasks or cron jobs or something like that. And you use that to set up the persistence. So, all right, all that said, for demonstration purposes, we're just going to hit the I believe button again, and we have initial access, and it's root, and it's perfect. It's beautiful. We've already escalated privileges, so we could just do whatever we want. How lucky are we? but we're a little bit worried about maybe that configuration management tool or somebody noticing or something, right? So we're gonna establish our foothold and really dig in with some persistence here. So all I've done, again, vanilla Kali instance here, SSH Open SSH server is installed, so I just have to start the daemon, and you can see the command here, and then I just did a PS to validate that it was listening. So here we go. Let's do demo. Slides off, terminal on. All right, so the first thing I want to do is, let me get my other window up here. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get my windows rearranged. Okay, I want to show you that this fails, right? So this window that you're seeing here, this white one, is my MacBook that I'm operating on now, and like a good user, I have it password protected, my key, and it's going to fail, right? Because I have not yet set up my authorized keys on the remote server, so that's expected. That's what I wanted to see. All right, so far so good. Now I'm going to skip ahead, or I'm going to. I already know that I have access. Again, we already know this. We're established on the machine. I have it up in another window. I'll bring it up in a sec. But so I have my public key that I want to show you, and that's what that looks like. I need to copy that to my clipboard in an effective way. So on Mac, there's PB copy is a way to do that without fudging it up. So we're going to do that. Now it's copied to my clipboard if properly. And then I'm going to skip over to my Kali instance here. And let me make sure you can see the command. Okay. Looks like it. All right. Let me turn off my other terminal here. Seems to be flashing. One second. Okay, I am on my Kali instance in my root home directory. So, root, and then I CD'd into my .ssh directory, right? So this is where this stuff lives. The root is my root user is running the SSH daemon. Again, we can see that here. Right there, right? Okay, so this is where it's going to grab that stuff from. So the first thing I want to do is create the authorized keys file because it doesn't exist right now. Nothing in there, nothing in my root directory, or in my SSH directory. So first we're just going to touch authorized keys, and now it exists, which is great. And then we're going to I'm kind of old school, so ID _ RSA. So I'm gonna do this a little bit funny, and that's I'm being deliberate about it instead of trying to get funky with my clipboard, because I'm going between a virtual environment and not. So I am going to first create my public key, maybe. There we are. As a file, and then I'm going to cat that into and append it to the authorized keys file. So I'm going to cat my public key into, I'll append, even though there's nothing in there, right? Just force a habit here so I don't screw something up. Append into the authorized keys file. And so now when I look at that authorized keys file, we see my public key. No surprise there. That was that was us gaining persistence. Let's check it out now. So what we should see is, let me turn off Kali, turn on terminal, pull that up. And now if I try to SSH into that server again, right, and enter my passphrase for the key, okay, I was getting scared there for a second. It took a little longer than I expected. Yeah, I guess one thing I expected to see was like a new signature, a new server signature. So that's on my end because I didn't clear my known hosts file, but that doesn't really matter. It worked. So I have root access to my Kali instance, and again, so if I list that SSH or the .ssh directory remotely, you could see, you know, what we just created. So cool. That's it. That's persistence using SSH. Now, assuming that nobody is validating and verifying what's going on, nobody's written detections, or doesn't have that desired state being pushed all the time, that's going to last. That's going to sustain, because these authorized keys files can be quite large on a busy server or network. And you know, like if you're crafty and using usernames that that align with what one would expect to see, or closely align at least, you're going to fly under the radar, is what I would expect. So now you know.